Good Wednesday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock, time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Browns are officially on the bye. They will have this weekend off, getting ready to face the Dolphins a week from Sunday. Coaches making some last-minute tweaks. Andrew Berry met with the media, talked about the first half, and if the win over the Bengals on Monday night affected his thinking at the trade deadline yesterday afternoon.
The margins in the NFL are so small, right? There are a number of talented, players and coaches across, all 32 teams, and you never know which play can turn the outcome of a game. I think probably just the biggest thing from the first half of the season is, consistency. And, every organization, every team has, guys that can make great plays, can do really good things, but it's the teams that do it consistently and lean into their strengths. Those are the ones that play well, week in, week out. We had a rough October, right? But fortunately, as we look at, Monday night and going into this bye, I think it provided a picture of the team that, that we can be. We were by no means perfect, but we played our most complete game of the season. So we're hopeful that will be a nice springboard going into the second half of the year.
Did Monday's result change your thinking or planning in any way?
I would say that it candidly probably maybe had a little bit of a mild influence, Zach. I wouldn't say that it moved the needle significantly in one direction or another. Had probably a pretty good idea in terms of, how we wanted to approach, obviously yesterday with a couple different opportunities, but to suggest it didn't have some type of mild impact, I think would be disingenuous.
Andrew Berry talking about the trade deadline. Browns did not make a move. Let's welcome in G. Bush, host of the Barbershop 92.3 The Fan, Saturday mornings from 8 until noon, also co-host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. G. Bush, a step in the right direction against the Bengals. Need a whole lot more of that defensively.
Oh, yeah. Listen, they're gonna definitely need a lot more where that came from. They definitely have to get everything squared away. And when you look at it in terms of what the Browns was able to do, they were able to go out there and to get a win. And I think that actually does play a big part and a big role in the way they look at Kareem Hunt. I mean, it's kind of hard to sell to your roster and sell to your team if you have a situation where you're like, hey, we really want to do the best we can. We really want to get things done, and we really want to be competitive. You're now at 3-5. You're now in a place where Kareem Hunt can help your team win. And it's hard to sell your team on saying, hey, we got rid of one of our best guys, one of our best assets, and especially if you weren't going to get what you wanted back from him. I was actually surprised that and excited that they kept him because, we saw Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield at the same time. We saw them make a concerted effort of giving Kareem Hunt the football, and it paid dividends. They committed to the run. The offense looked good, and I think in a small part plays a role in this. You want to give Deshaun Watson the best opportunity to be successful in his games here while in his first year. And unequivocally, Kareem Hunt being on his team makes the Cleveland Browns a better team. It also improves their offense, and it helps Deshaun Watson. So for me, I will commend Kareem Hunt. There's a lot of things that he overcame, and I do understand where he's coming from. He's a talented guy. He's a guy who led this league in rushing, and because of a mistake that he did, a costly mistake, he's yet to receive the compensation level that is par for his talent level. So I can understand why he believes he should be paid and compensated, and I could understand if he wants an opportunity to go somewhere to get paid. But I will say this. He's always worked hard. He's always continued to fight. He's always continued to get everything he has. And I'm just actually kind of excited to see him get to finish this year out and see where things land out in the offseason.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Andrew Berry was asked about that trade deadline and how close Browns came to making a deal.
We came close to one deal, Mary Kay, in terms of acquiring a player. It didn't come to fruition from a compensation package, but we feel really good about the team that we have. Feel really good about the guys in the locker room. To Kareem specifically, really, I would actually give Kareem a lot of credit, because I think that, for an individual going through what he went through the past couple months, realizing that, his status was in some level of flux, and all Kareem did was, since August, has worked hard and really put the team first. And I think that type of mindset, that type of attitude, is exactly what allows you to kind of battle through, difficult challenges, difficult circumstances, and ultimately what you need to win games as you go from week to week in the second half of the year. We always have open dialogue with our guys, so none of that necessarily happens in a vacuum. Just to be clear, but Kareem's been excellent. Every day that he's been in the building, since August, and I think you all know how passionate he is and how much he cares about this team and how much he cares about this city. And we know he's going to have a really strong second half, and are looking forward to helping us to continue to win games like he did on Monday night.
And G. Bush, I got to see more of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on the field together. We saw more of it than we had in the past. More of it. Give us more.
Hey, listen, we need all we can get, man. And I will commend them for listening to us a little bit and doing exactly that. One thing that I've always just been disappointed here in Cleveland, and I'm a bigger fan as anybody. The one thing that I've always been disappointed was, it always seems like the Cleveland Browns never were in a position to put their positions and put their guys, their playmakers, in positions to really make a difference in the game. Last year, a couple of years ago, we had Odell Beckham Jr., and we all thought that we were going to be a team that would be reckoned with, because we knew we got one of those type playmakers. We got one of those guys. And then 2 years later into the whole experiment, we had people like second guessing whether he was washed up, whether he was done, whether or not he had lost a step, or was he just not the same player. And the frustrating thing was, he goes to L.A. He doesn't know that coach. He doesn't know the system. He doesn't know the quarterback. He's never played with these guys. And then all of a sudden, and boom, in McVay's offense, he's running open. He's getting targets. He's scoring touchdowns. That is demoralizing for your organization to see. And for us to be back in the same situation with Kareem Hunt. Because I'm going to tell you what, the teams that were trying to get Kareem Hunt were the teams that are trying to win the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills of the world. They were definitely coming out. The Miami Dolphins, they're a team that's one running back away from having some balance to where you say, oh, wow, that team is to be reckoned with. Teams like that, heck, the New York Jets, they expected to have a season. Breece Hall goes down. These are the type of teams that would have went after Kareem Hunt. So we would have had to watch, as Browns fans, see Kareem Hunt be featured in the offense, and we would have to sit here and say again, where was that with the Browns? Where was that at? And you see what it's effective. If Kevin Stefanski doesn't learn anything over the bye week, just go back and watch. It's not about the yard, just about the intent. The intent and being intentional with the way you deploy Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb pays dividends not only in the first quarter, but it pays dividends in the second quarter. Your defense is motivated now. You don't think those defensive guys over there understand that Kareem Hunt ain't getting the ball or Nick Chubb's not getting the ball enough? They watch film just like we do. And when you feel like you got a playmaker that can help you win games and you're not winning those games, you're going to play a little down. You're not going to play with that same enthusiasm. I thought when they were running the ball, I think they took the Bengals' soul. And early on, seeing those two monsters in the backfield, it was a clear and cut and concise statement to the Cincinnati Bengals. You guys ain't beating us today, because we just going to come out here, and if you know what you know, cool. But you're not going to stop them every single play. And I think that's the mentality the Browns have to have definitely moving forward.
All right, this is from 538.com. Browns receiving grades for making the catch. So the guy over on the right, that's Donovan Peoples-Jones, 82 receiving grade for making the catch. That's highest in the NFL, ahead of Lockett, Diggs, and Kelsey. Amari Cooper is over here at 72. Those are two of the highest. Now, again, that is strictly when the ball's thrown and it's catchable, you make the catch. And again, for Donovan Peoples-Jones, contested catches, he's been really good at it. And I'll tell you what, You can call him a 2, you can call him a 3, you can call him whatever you want. A team that wins has that kind of guy. If you need 5 yards, he's running 5.5 yards and making the catch.
Man, slow clap. I got a slow clap for Donovan Peoples-Jones because guess what? A lot of people was on him. A lot of people said, man, 6th-round pick, this is a make-or-break year. And let me tell you what all he's done is this. All he does is go out and catch every ball thrown to him. I've been surprised. Low in coverage, guy on his back, a defensive back in position, sliding, diving, jumping. He just makes the catch, right? Now I can't knock a guy for that. That is exactly what you need in a receiver that you can win football games with. And I'm with you. Call it a 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it production. He's on pace to have one of his best years of his career. Also, let's take a look at Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is on pace. He was on that chart. He's on pace to have over 1,000, 1,100 yards. And if David Njoku wasn't, injured with the ankle sprain, I think that he's on pace for a record-breaking season for himself. So, you know what? I will give the Browns credit for this. We talked about the receivers. We couldn't find Bell, Schwartz, some of the other the secondary guys who's going to step up besides Amari Cooper. But I would think that everybody should be at least fine with the fact that they got Amari Cooper as a definite one. You look at his numbers and it proves it. You got a guy that has merged in Donovan Peoples-Jones that's a dependable number 2 or 2A. And you got a tight end that you paid a contract to that looks like he's going to pay dividends, and he's been catching the ball, was blocking better. So we talked about the receivers and who's going to get the ball through the air. They got 3 solid ones right now, and I can't complain at all about the offense and what they've been able to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. Donovan Peoples-Jones is taking that next step towards being a dependable NFL receiver year in and year out. All right, before we go to break, let's go to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, how you doing? It's the real Brian Rizzo here, calling out of Hilliard/Columbus/Mansfield, Ohio. Just have a quick question for you. When Walker went down, Phillips got the green dot. Phillips was down. Who's wearing the green dot now? Is it going to go to Deion Jones when he gets caught up, or are they going to let JJ3 wear the green dot? Who will be calling the plays from now on the defense? Which guy's going to be setting everybody up? Just curious. Go Browns. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Appreciate all the calls. I know I saw during the Bengals game that John Johnson III had the green dot at least part of the time. That's a good question. It could be Deion Jones. The way they played, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Put it on if that was JJ3 with it, leave it there.
I talked to my co-host on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Tyvis Powell, and obviously he's a guy who talks to Richard Sherman a lot. He actually knows the agent of John Johnson III, and I told him, I was mad about the production the week before. I said, listen, John Johnson might get his nickname taken. I'm not calling him JJ3. I'm going to call him by what his mom called him, Jonathan, until he gets it right. Played much better this game. Saw him coming out in the box. I talked to Tyvis. Tyvis says, look, he was calling the plays the majority of the game. He was the guy calling those plays, and I thought it was a nice job. I thought that the team lined up straight correctly. No missed assignments. I thought they played fast. I thought they got lined up. And I like the fact that, when he was in there calling those plays, there's Deion Jones, who's a new guy. There's guys that are backups in there, but no missed assignments. Guys weren't waiting around for the call to come in. I thought he did a nice job with calling those plays. And I also think that in between him and Taki as being veterans, I think Taki really came in and settled them down a little bit. I thought he played a real good game. Didn't miss any tackles. Very solid. So I like what I saw. I think if they want to keep doing that moving forward, I'd go with John Johnson because if he can get they already understand his voice in the secondary because he was already lining guys back and making checks there. If he can get the linebackers on the same page, you're good because now you can make your calls and it's one voice, one sound. And I think that'd be if he can still continue to do that at a high level, I'd ride with it the rest of the season.
Yep, I'm with you. G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, take a look at some of the adjustments the Browns might make during bye week. They're on the bye, getting ready for the Dolphins coming up a week from Sunday. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush, host of the Barbershop, 92.3 The Fan, Saturday mornings, 8 until noon. You can also catch him on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yeah, this is Tim calling. My question is not just the offense, but the defense that gave the Kansas City Chiefs a run for their money in the playoffs and lost it by a hair. Can the Browns rise above, and can Kevin keep changing it enough with Cooper, Chubbs, Kareem, Bell, and the defense rise above? Now we're at a place where Cleveland fans will probably start getting excited again. But since we have a bye week, they got to change some things here and there so the other teams will not be, what you'd say, ready for the Cleveland Browns. It was interesting to see how they passed and how they run. That's hard to beat. And thank God that we had a great game, and God bless the Cleveland Browns.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. G. Bush, bye week. The one thing I'd say is you don't need to change. There are some things that you can keep doing because other teams just won't be able to stop it. And I think you overthink it. But let me ask you. Let me ask you this: what do you want to see coming out of the bye week from the Browns? What changes do you want to see?
Well, to me, you hit it right there. Some things you don't need to switch up, right? I thought the game plan that they had going against the Cincinnati Bengals was the blueprint. That blueprint is, hey, look, on defense, we're going to have to get after guys. Joe Woods catches a lot of heat, but that heat is brought on by himself. Sometimes he gets a little complacent, and he does not bring the level of pressure, and he gives a lot of respect to these quarterbacks. And I get it. You know, you got some of the great quarterbacks in this league. But this year, Aaron Rodgers has struggled. This year, Tom Brady is struggling. We just saw Joe Burrow be up and down. There's only a handful of quarterbacks, maybe 2 or 3, that's been lights out. And one of them is just Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. Other than that, there's been no world beaters out there where, you know, you got people that are just throwing for 400. You can't do anything. So he did what he was supposed to do. He brought the pressure. He stood Myles Garrett up. He moved into a package where he had more defensive ends on the field at the same time. He got him in basically obvious passing downs, and he brought pressure. And Myles Garrett got home, and they brought that level of intensity that we needed to see. Offensively, the game plan, we talked about it in last segment. It's you got 2 of the best back there doing it. And trust me, coming from a defensive player that played defensive end and up front, it's just tiring and trying to get off blocks. And you can't get a pass rush because now it's like if it's 2nd and 3, you can't be out here just running upfield for the pass. You got to play run. And when you're playing the Cleveland Browns, that means you got to be ready for the gap schemes. You got to be ready for zones. You got to get ready for the toss. You got to get ready for stretch plays. They run everything that is basically able to be run. They'll pull guards. They'll pull tackles. They'll run counter plays. They'll do it all. And when you're dealing with those guys up front and you got 2 monsters like that, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, that are not going down on first contact by anybody, they may know what you're doing. The best play I saw was when they motioned Jacoby Brissett out of backfield, direct snap to Nick Chubb, and they had 9-10 linemen up there. And they said, stop it. And they couldn't.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. I think one of the adjustments is I think they found something with the 7, 8, how many? 9 offensive linemen. Go big. You want to put that many people in the box. We're just going to get bigger guys and move them over you. And then good luck, trying to tackle Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt.
And that's over time. It's demoralizing. Because you keep picking yourself off the ground, and they're gonna run it again. You're beat up. You're down. And then the funny part about it is when you're executing that game plan. Look how devastating it was when the Browns were up 8. Right? They go for the 2 to get 8. They make sure they get the field goal. They get the points. Right? Because they felt that what the momentum was. Now you up 11-0. That 11-0 was almost 20. Then they got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and got 7. You're up 18-0 on a team, and they haven't been able to move the ball, and they ain't seen the ball in 30 minutes, 45 minutes real time. And now you're asking those guys to come back and throw the ball downfield and get it going. The time of possession, the cumulative blows, and just the factor of running those two guys is basically the game plan. And I just hope that they look at this and continue to do it against a team like Miami, who's a finesse team as well. Yeah, there aren't the teams that you're concerned about. Miami's not really a finesse team. Even the Bills, they're more a finesse team. Even the Bills, to a certain extent, are a little more physical, but they're a finesse team. So load them up. See, at the very least, you're giving them a lot to have to worry about during the week if you come out and you play big. Also, Andrew Berry talked about Kevin Stefanski as the head coach and play caller today.
Kevin has had to navigate some pretty unique circumstances and some pretty difficult circumstances during his tenure as a head coach. And our belief in Kevin is just as strong as the day that we hired him. He's smart. He's a servant leader. He's creative, and we know he has the ability to lead our team to wins. And we feel really good. We feel like the locker room's in good hands. We know he pushes our guys, and we're looking forward to playing good football in the second half of the year. I think that Kevin has shown that he has the ability to both manage the game and call the offense. I think he's done a nice job under a variety of circumstances, as the play caller, and he's organized and broad enough where he can manage the broader aspects of the job. I think he is, acutely aware, as really we all are, that, as a head coach, it's not just about, running the offense or calling the plays. It's about managing the entire team, and he takes that responsibility seriously.
And G. Bush, I know you and I both. I don't agree with every play he calls. I don't agree with every game plan. I think he's a pretty good play caller. Play calling, on a 3-5 team, nobody's going to be happy with the play calling. Heck, he probably isn't. Yeah, and I'm critical when he has some things, gaffes, and some blunders where he doesn't get the ball to his playmakers as much as we think he should. And to be honest with you, I still believe organizationally, I think they still do have Kareem Hunt on an imaginary pitch count. I look at the way the game plan runs. I look at the way they get him in and out of the game, and I think that was part of the decision. When they gave him that contract extension, they were saying, okay, well, you don't technically, analytically speaking, it's not very advantageous to give a running back who's aging, who's had his history of injuries, another contract. But they understood under these unique circumstances that he was going to be your best chance or best option to win football games. So I think they said, well, we'll do it, but he has to be able to get us to a point where we can recoup some of our investment. We don't want him to be completely out of the league by the time of his contract. So let's put him on a pitch count. And I think that's a lot of what we see. Obviously, they're not going to never come out and say that due to factors, incentives, and other things like that where players will be completely mad about something like that. But I think that that's where it's at. And when you give in the fact that I think they're trying to save him, keep some tread on the tires, so when
Deshaun Watson gets here, they really believe that once they get the quarterback in place, that not only Kevin Stefanski is going to call, efficient games, but he's going to start opening up different other avenues of the other play calling that, frankly, he can't do with Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett or Josh Dobbs or whoever it is. So I think they were always going to give him that leeway. Anytime you go get Deshaun Watson and you have to sit out and do all those things, he's not going to get fired this year, because just for the simple fact that even Deshaun Watson said one of the main reasons he came here was the running game, offensive line, and the way Kevin Stefanski calls the game. So that wasn't going to happen. But Joe Woods, though, Joe, you notice Andrew Berry didn't say nothing about you. I need you to still keep calling plays you called last week. Come on now.
Yep. Keep up. You're on a 2-week run. Make it a 3-week run when you get back on the field. All right. Andrew Berry also talked about Denzel Ward still in concussion protocol.
We're listening to the medical experts there. Denzel's doing everything he can to get back on the field. I think everybody realizes here that concussions can be tricky, and then just reality, because you're dealing with your brain. We want to make sure that guys are healthy before they get back onto the field.
G. Bush, first of all, you want Denzel to be healthy because you want him to be healthy. But, man, you need him back on the field with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You could really use a guy that can run and cover.
Yes, you can. That's the great thing about the NFL. Every week is a new challenge. Last week was, oh, wow, we dodged a bullet with Jamar Chase, but they still had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, some of those guys as well. But this week's completely new animal. You go next week after the bye, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill. I think they still got Raheem Mostert down there as well. So these are guys that I call them the track team. If you miss a tackle against them, bye. And to be honest with you, Tyreek Hill, you can have two on him. I've seen him bracket coverage him with a safety over the top, and he runs out of bracket coverage. And it's just about whether or not your quarterback can throw it far enough so he can run up underneath it. That's how fast he is. And so this is a unique opportunity, and it's a unique threat that they pose, having two guys that are that fast. So that's why Denzel Ward coming back would be much needed. But the way they are with concussions now, they ain't taking no chances, because the league, that collective bargaining agreement is coming back up. And the way Tua went down and the way some of these other concussions have been happening, there's no way that the Cleveland Browns or any other body in the league wants to be accused of being negligent and not having player safety at the forefront of what they're thinking about when it comes to playing. He's going to be out as long as the neuroscientists, and all the guys who take a look at concussions tell him he'll be out. And, the Browns, that's why you drafted Newsome. That's why you go back and get MJ Emerson, who's playing great, by the way. That's why you hope Greedy Williams, who's a second-round pick, can come and fill in and do things like that, and A.J. Green. So that's why you need him. And if Denzel isn't here, they got to have next man up, because every week, Browns fans, forget the playoffs. Every week is the playoffs moving forward, because they can't afford to lose certain games, especially before Deshaun Watson gets available to play.
G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll hear more from Andrew Berry. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush. Andrew Berry talked about the way he sees leadership in the Browns locker room.
Yeah, I think when you talk about leadership, Daryl, that, leadership takes many forms. And, it's not just if you have a C on your chest, like, to be a leader. I think that responsibility is really shared, across the locker room. You have some guys who you're passionate, fiery, vocal guys. You have some guys that, say your Nick Chubb types that are don't say much, but just do their jobs and lead by example. And I think that burden is really, it's a shared responsibility. Ultimately, like, you need that as part of your organization. You need that as part of your locker room to navigate the tough moments and to navigate through adversity. And that's something that we're going to need to be able to do over the next 2.5 months. So, it's probably a good question at the end of the year, and certainly a challenge for our guys. But I like our team. I like our locker room, and I think that we do have the guys that can navigate that effectively. But we have to go out and do it.
G. Bush, defensively, Myles Garrett has been that, and I think they really miss Anthony Walker. I think that was an underrated part of he was a guy that just kind of held everything together on that side of the ball, and we're finding that after he's gone.
Yeah, you don't really know what you're missing until sometimes you take that ingredient out of the mix. And I think Anthony Walker, just from a standpoint of getting guys lined up, letting guys know where they're supposed to be, and he checks at the line of scrimmage. He's doing all those different things from a communication standpoint. So that's going to be definitely someone you're going to miss in the middle of your defense. That is pretty much going to be playing the role of a coach that's on the field in terms of getting guys lined up and doing those things like that. I also think, for me, I like leaders who just make plays. Sometimes he mentioned people that are vocal. Sometimes they're guys who, are silent leaders. They show you what they're going to do. For me, I think the most important type of leaders the Browns actually needed in order to, snap out of this little, losing streak at the beginning of the season was, we need guys to make plays. Sometimes, you could do a lot of talking and rah-rah and everything, but it just boils down to, hey, when you got an opportunity to get your hands on the football, did you catch it as a receiver or and as a DB? When you get your hands on the football, did you pick it off? Did you intercept the football? Because like Barry said earlier in the show, he said every game is so close. It's it's 3 to 4 minor little things that really can be the difference between winning or losing. And for me, the process of figuring out what the best leader does, the best leader says, put it on me. I'll make the play, right? If it comes to a time where we need to get a sack, sometimes your coach ain't going to send a blitz, right? So Myles Garrett has to say, come hell or high water, I got to get home on this play. And those are the things that I appreciate when I'm looking for a leader. Give me the guy that's not only going to be able to do it, but he's going to show other guys how to do the same thing he's doing, how to be effective on the same level that he is. So, there are different types of leaders, but I think one of the leaders that leadership qualities that people kind of skim over is just the simple fact that you need to make plays, and making plays is blocking, tackling, and what it is, and defense, and that stuff travels from year to year, generation to generation. It's nothing different.
All right. The other thing that Andrew Berry talked about, just Jacoby Brissett and how he has performed in the first 8 games.
Jacoby has been everything that we had hoped when we signed him. I think that he is given us an opportunity and more to win the game in every one of his starts, with maybe save the exception of one. We knew that he was a special guy in the locker room from particularly his time in Indianapolis, navigating the 2 years with Andrew Luck's injury and then ultimately his retirement. He's been an excellent addition to our organization, and we couldn't be happier with what he's provided the team so far.
And G. Bush, I've got no issue whatsoever with Jacoby Brissett. I think in a couple of games they asked him to do more than they should have. That's my issue is, don't ask this guy to be something he's not. That's my only issue.
Yeah, they put a couple games on his back. The game where he threw 45 times. It ain't never supposed to be a game in town where you're doing that. That's not his MO. But what he has done is he has played above even my expectations. I felt like he wouldn't be able to make certain throws. I found out he has a much stronger arm than I thought. I think that he's not the most outwardly mobile guy, but he just does enough to move the chains on 4th and 1. He also has just enough to evade a pass rush to get, around the corner, break, contain, and kind of dive into the end zone against the Bengals. All these things that I didn't know he had in his repertoire. It might not be the cleanest stuff, but he's effective. So, I thought he was under fire a little bit because people weren't projecting what he could be. People weren't projecting how he would look in the offense like this with Kevin Stefanski. And so now that you see it, that's why there's a lot of people that, that's why they're in love with the backup. They always say, well, if Jacoby wins the next 2, does that naturally mean Deshaun Watson? Yes, Barry said it. He's playing day 1, snap 1, stop playing around. But that's a good thought. At least at least he's playing that well that he's even being flattered with he's being gaslit about him starting. We'll take it. That means you're playing pretty good, but make no mistake about it. Deshaun Watson is under center the second he's able to come back from suspension.
Yeah, and if they could do it sooner, they would. If Goodell would let him, he'd be there today.
Mid-season.
So G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. We'll hear Andrew Berry talk about what the offense might look like with Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Andrew Berry on the fans' perception that Deshaun Watson can come in and save the season.
That's not something that we can necessarily control internally. That's not really our mindset. Our mindset, with him is when he's available and back, we'll welcome him back and get him ramped up appropriately. But until that point, it's really the focus on the guys who are playing and obviously at the quarterback position, getting Jacoby prepared to play and putting our best foot forth against the upcoming opponent. Deshaun's, it's been great to have him back in the building. He's been focused on working on himself. He's stayed in great shape. He's been a part of the meetings, and he's done everything and more that's been asked of him. And we'll be excited to have him when he can continue to ramp up football activities and get back on the practice field.
Couple more weeks, G. Bush, and the offense will look. They may call the same plays. There are going to be a little bit more options to those plays, though.
Yeah, and those options come with athleticism and physical talents, right? Jacoby Brissett is not a very fleet of foot. He gets where he needs to go. It's more like a moped, right? He's more like a moped. Like Deshaun Watson, not as if he's not like Lamar Jackson. He's more of he has some BMW or Mercedes caliber wheels on. He's doing his thing. But when you look at what they're going to be running, they have the playbook open for them now. Some of those things that you look at the 4:00 games that other teams are running, whether it be the RPO stuff or a lot of creativity when it comes to route combinations, and you kind of trust your coach and quarterback more when he does have the ability. The quarterback has the ability to go downfield. You want to call more things that are more lively. You want to call things that are that may take a 7-step drop or guys need to hit a double move. So you're going to be doing some of those things because of the simple fact that now you have a person back there with a skill set that you have confidence in, that can put that ball on somebody. And plus that it just is here to augment, not take away from the running game. It's here to transform the running game, and so that you can get more yards from Nick Chubb, because a lot of times they'll come from the backside because backside guys don't really chase a back front side down. And the reality is because, the tackle blocks down and he has another responsibility, which is bootleg, which is going to be coming right back towards him. So sometimes when you got a great athletic quarterback and he's carrying out his fakes, the defensive end has to honor that. So that's one less guy in the box that they can block or they can't. One less guy that is in the box that Nick Chubb doesn't have to contend with. Now you instead of making 8 in the box, you got 7. You still got something front side, but you always count on the fact that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt have the highest percentage of miss rate in the entire league. So that means one guy ain't going to tackle him. So that's the way it opens you up. You start to get more big chunk plays. You start to get things that are more vertical, and it just opens up and makes the job easier for one another and creates this synergy where you can actually have an explosive offense.
Yeah, the other thing is those pass rushers get out of their lanes, they're going to find out real quick. He'll beat them with Watson will beat him with his feet as well. All right, before I let you go, 4 of the Guardians won Gold Gloves. You had Shane Bieber, Andres Jimenez, Stephen Kwan, and Miles Straw. Straw and Kwan talked about the young guys winning Gold Gloves as well as all 4 of the Guardians.
You look at it and it's half of your team you're throwing out there has won the Gold Glove, which I think is pretty impressive. This team relies a lot on defense. We play really good defense. We play hard. Even the guys that didn't win it this year, guys like Ahmed, he's took a step forward since I first saw him. Josh Naylor has made unbelievable plays. Our whole team has done it. Jose should win it just about every single year. Oscar has taken incredible strides. Our defense, every single person on this team has truly gotten better. Hedges is unbelievable. I see him from center field every game, and he just makes it look – I feel like I could pitch when I watch that guy catch. So
with the coaches, I think a lot of times guys don't want to work or they don't care about working, but we have the good coaches to where they're always trying to get better. They're always trying to teach us new things. I think it just starts with kind of leadership at the top. I think if the vets didn't care about defense, then obviously us younger guys wouldn't care either. It shows that our team is fully faceted and every angle of the game is important. So when you have older guys who care about defense, it makes it easy for younger guys coming up.
G. Bush, the old adage is defense up the middle, and they have 4 of the 5 Gold Gloves, and 6 if you count the catchers. So 4 of the 6 up the middle are Gold Gloves.
I commend the Guardians for doing it a specific, different way, right? Most of what you're doing nowadays is you get a guy on, and you try to look for your pitch to get a 2 or 3 run home run. That's all you're trying to go up there to do. The Guardians reverse engineered this thing and said, okay, we're gonna start valuing guys who steal bases. I think they had 5 guys over 20 stolen bases. They started valuing, hey, if we can't get 5 runs, let's make sure that they can't get 4. Let's make sure they ain't getting 3. So what they've done is on top of a stellar bullpen and closer, they've made a conscious effort into upgrading their defense, which is going to take some of the points that runs off the board, and then you could deal with some of the other stuff. Straw is not a great batter, but at the end of the day, one of the things that he can do is now he's available to sacrifice flies. So he can lay a bunt down and scare people with his speed. And so you do other things to try to work around his deficiencies, but in general, they're a great defensive team. Kwan made a couple plays against the Yankees that he just had a great jump on the ball. Great jump on the ball. And so, I'll be anxious to see exactly what they do next year, because the reality is they got guys that's fighting to come up to chomping at the bit to try to get to shortstop and second base. These guys aren't even the guys we saw this year are not their top prospects. There's guys down in AAA and AA that are rated higher than these guys. The thing is, when you get Tito and when you get some veterans and the right mix of guys, that's all you need in baseball to be competitive. So, I'm interested to see if they go get a bat next year, maybe right-hand power hitter. Doesn't have to break the bank or anything, just something to give you an added bonus so that you don't have to go to every playoff game feeling like you got to win 2-1 with great pitching efforts.
G. Bush, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, G. Bush.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, G. Bush, make sure you catch him. 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, 8 until noon on Saturday. Also, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 on YouTube. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Jackson McCurry on the other side of the break.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams, I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns. Andrew Berry met with the media today, talked about being 3-5 at the bye week with a really talented roster, as well as has this defense turned the corner?
I would ask you, well, what are we doing in the other areas? Just because it's not just about the offense. Obviously, we're pleased that we're putting up points, but football really is a team game, and it takes offense, defense, and special teams to win, and so that's where we've got to make improvements over the next few weeks. Look, the reality is, first eight games of the year, we're not where we want to be, Tony, and I think that responsibility really falls on all of us within football operations. But the good thing is, we have more than half of our season left, and we have 9 more opportunities, because ultimately it's how we end the year. This is a snapshot in time, but the reality is we have to improve the consistency of the team from week to week, quickly, and that's really going to be everybody's focus during the bye week.
Let's welcome in Jackson McCurry, co-host of the Dawgland and the Top Dogs podcast. So, Jackson, at the beginning of that, he was referring to the fact that the Browns have the 7th highest scoring offense and yet are still 3-5. Would be surprised if you had told me that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, without a doubt, because we even talked about it before the season started, that we thought the defense was going to carry this team throughout the first half of the year until Watson got back. But it's been the offense that's carried this team, and the defense hasn't lived up to expectations. Now, the last 2 games against Baltimore and Cincinnati, the defense has seemed to turn the corner, so to speak. But coming off the bye, 2 big tests against Miami and Tampa. We'll see Miami and Buffalo. Tampa could be tough too, depending on if Brady gets back on track. But some big tests for this defense. We will see how good they are, if these divisional games were just a flash in the pan, or maybe the defense has turned around finally.
All right, Pro Football Focus, Week 9 power rankings. Number 1 in the NFL is the Bills. Chiefs are 2, Eagles are 3. Ravens are 6, the Bengals are 11. Browns down at 17, 1 spot ahead of the Patriots. For the way they've played, that seems pretty fair. When you look at it, they match up pretty well with the Dolphins. That's a team that isn't going to bludgeon them up front. So I know they're fast, but they're built to defend fast teams like the Bengals. They remind me a lot of the Bengals.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the biggest key is, are they able to slow down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle coming up? Obviously, those two are both in the top 5 in receiving yards. You could have made that case had Jamar Chase been available for the Bengals, that the Browns would have been going up against a similar high-powered offense. If the Browns can find a way to slow Miami down and they can put pressure on Tua, who's, taken his shots, had his licks this year. Obviously, the concussions speak for themselves. But if they can find a way to slow Hill and Waddle down in Miami, I think the Browns do have a chance to win.
Yeah, I would agree. And you gotta be willing to run the football and keep the ball out of that high-powered offense's hands. Something they did pretty well against the Bengals. Speaking of the Bengals, highest graded Browns in Week 8 against the Bengals. Pro Football Focus. Myles Garrett's 3, Joel Bitonio's 2. Those guys were always ranked in the 90s. Now, Ethan Posick is the top one at 94.0. Brissett at almost 91, and Sione Takitaki are really eye openers. And I don't know about you, Jackson. Takitaki, he was all over the place, but he's played pretty well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a big surprise, with the linebacking injuries to Walker and Phillips. You didn't know what you were going to get from the rest of the group. Obviously, they're bringing in Deion Jones, and even JOK was out this past week. But Takitaki has played well the last couple of weeks. It seems like that linebacker room is starting to take shape. I've always liked Takitaki. He's always seemed to do his role, and it seems like they've given him much more attention and giving him more of a chance to showcase his talents. Now, obviously, this is a contract year, so he might be a little bit more motivated to show what he can do, but he was phenomenal on Monday night. Obviously the attention goes to Myles Garrett, but Takitaki played well, and even Martin Emerson, I don't think he's getting enough credit for how he played against those Bengals receivers on Monday night. I thought he did a great job.
Agree wholeheartedly. The more I see of him, and again, I'm always hesitant because, you immediately say, oh, he's a great rookie, and then the second year is always a little less. But, the more I see him, he's physical. He's not afraid of anything. He likes it. And Ethan Posick might be a guy that's playing himself into a contract.
Yeah, the attention was on Nick Harris coming into the season. Unfortunately, he gets hurt right in the preseason opener, but Posick has done really well. And people were saying, well, he's playing between 2 all-pro guards, but even with Teller sidelined and Froholt taking that spot, Posick has played really well. And I'm of the opinion you try to find a way to extend him. If Jack Conklin's leaving at the end of the year as a free agent, keep the offensive line unit together as much as possible. And I think Posick's done a really nice job. He took some criticism for his time in Seattle, but Russell Wilson, it didn't matter who they put in front of him. He was still running around trying to extend plays with his legs. And I don't think you can judge an offensive lineman behind a mobile quarterback so much.
Yeah, I would agree. And the other thing is when you get Deshaun Watson back, the one thing with a quarterback is you want to make sure that pressure is coming from the side, not in front of him. Because from the side, Deshaun Watson can get around it. When it's coming straight at you, it's a little more difficult. Jackson McCurry and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. We'll hear more from Andrew Berry. Sports4CLE will continue. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Jackson McCurry, host of the Dawgland and Top Dogs podcast. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Am I mistaken, or did I see the Browns run a race car package or a NASCAR package on that defensive line against the Bengals? Did they put all 4 of their DNs on the field at one time? Wasn't it Clowney, Woods, Thomas, Wright and Miles and Clowney all on the line at the same time against the Bengals. If they didn't they do that more than once? I feel like they put them all out there more than once. Put 94 next to 95 and then put Isaiah Thomas next to Clowney. I swear that happened, but I could be wrong. Just want to hear your thoughts. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Jackson, I think they did use at least 3. I'm not sure if they used all 4 of their defensive ends at the same time. I know they used at least 3 of them together, so they need to do more of that. Move these guys around.
Yeah, I mean, they attacked a weakness, which is the Bengals' offensive line, and I agree. I think when you have Clowney and Garrett, who are versatile enough to kick inside on certain packages, and letting, Wright and Isaiah Thomas, who I thought had a good performance, what an unbelievable sack he had Monday night. If you can attack a weakness like an offensive line like that with multiple pass rushers, it's only going to exploit offenses, because they're not going to know what to expect when you have Miles and Clowney on the inside and 2 rookie pass rushers on the outsides. It's going to cause some headaches for opposing offensive coordinators.
I would agree wholeheartedly. Don't let them know where Miles Garrett and Jadavian Clowney are coming from, because you're trying to develop younger guys at other spots. So mix up where they're, make them work to figure out where they're coming from. Andrew Berry talked about how the Browns offense will look with Deshaun Watson.
Like, our focus is really on the present week and making sure that we can maximize the opportunities for the upcoming opponent. So it's pretty easy to keep the blinders on there. That being said, we spent a lot of time, as Kevin calls, in the lab in the spring and throughout training camp, understanding that every offense has to be designed around the starting quarterback's strengths. And I think everybody realizes that that can look a little bit different than when Deshaun eventually takes snaps under center. But that being said, the core package of the offense will be consistent. That's not to say that there may not be modifications based on his skill set, but I don't think that transition will be quite as challenging as maybe some are anticipating.
And Jackson, the plays may be the same. He will give you more options, and the thing that, if you don't watch a lot of NFL football other than the Browns, he's really good when plays break down. That might be his strength. When the play kind of looks like it's over, it's not over with the guy that's going to be playing quarterback in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, especially with a guy that can extend plays with his legs. Like, we've seen Jacoby try to move around, and he's not the fastest guy, but Deshaun Watson is much quicker than Jacoby Brissett, and I think that's where it's going to open things up. I think they spread open this offense a lot more. You're going to see some RPOs. I think them getting Michael Woods and David Bell more involved in the offense, I think, is just a sneak and a glimpse at what we're going to see when Deshaun Watson gets back out there. It wouldn't shock me if we see more 3 and 4 wide receiver sets offensively, spreading things out. And, then again, you do that and defenses start preparing for that, then that's when you bring Nick Chubb back out, or Kareem Hunt, or even both of them in the backfield. That's going to cause nightmares, I think, for opposing defenses. If you have Deshaun Watson and then you have the 2 running backs on each side of him, and that's going to be one of the things I can't wait to see, is how Stefanski's going to open this offense up even more when Deshaun Watson comes back with all the weapons that the Browns have currently on this offense. They're already averaging 25 a game with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. Just makes you wonder what they're going to do once Watson comes back.
Yeah, they got to find a way to find if they can get 2 of the 3 any way they can. If they need to do 7-8 offensive linemen running down the throat of the Dolphins or the Buccaneers, go do it. Try to get to 5 wins when you get Watson back. Jackson McCurry, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Yep. Thank you, Dave.
All right, Jackson McCurry, co-host of the Dawgland and the Top Dawgs podcast. Before we go, Cavs getting ready to play the Celtics tonight. Have been playing really well, and they get some really good news as tweeted by Shams Charania. Point guard Darius Garland will make his return to the lineup against the Celtics tonight. He's been sidelined since like the first half of the first game, only played 13 minutes in the season opener against Toronto. He is due back against the Celtics. Cavs doing great in his absence, have only one loss on the year. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on Sports for CLE.